and thank you for joining me on the show today. This is the Now Talks, a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Allton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. So today I have Bridget with me, and the question at our table is all about collaboration and purposeful collaborations. And the questions that we have here is that, nobody reaches their life's destination alone. We need each other. So what is collaboration? Why do we need it at every stage in our lives? What are some of the things that we should look out for before engaging in collaboration with somebody else? What are some of the benefits, or when is it the best time to collaborate? And any final words? So I'm just going to take us through these questions, hopefully, and my heart and intention is that by the end of it, that you would really be able to understand the key components of what a collaboration looks like, or maybe the anatomy of a collaboration, what it should look like, how do you utilize such a powerful tool to help you to become all that you're called to be, and to be able to effectively fulfill your purpose and your destiny. So welcome again, to the Now Woman Talks, the podcast for every woman in leadership. I'm going to hopefully, discuss with us what it really means. As I said at the beginning, what it means, how can it benefit you, perhaps the team that you lead, the practical applications, how can we implement purposeful collaborations in our lives. So grab a tea, grab a coffee, grab water, whatever, grab your dog even, and let's those of you who have tea and coffee, sit back, relax. Those of you that have got your dogs, just let's hit the road and exercise those legs, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts as well. So collaborations really, I believe, are often seen as a crucial aspect of our everyday lives, or our everyday work or professional lives, if you will. But even at home, I don't want us to limit it just to our work or professional lives, but even at home. But collaborations don't quite work every time. I think that is the truth. Partly because our world now is so fast paced, and we're all so busy, we're also tired, we're also I would say consumed with too much information, too much to do. The 24 hours seems to kind of shriveled into 10, 8, I don't know. I'm still praying for a 26-hour day. So I do believe that sometimes, although we do desire and have the heart and intention to collaborate, sometimes we don't, and that can be due to very valid reasons. Maybe you collaborated before in the past, it didn't go so well, you got burned, whatever it is, all these facts or experiences, they are very valid reasons. However, here is a thought for you, and one that is really supposed to challenge your thinking, that if because of those valid reasons of the past experience you're no longer collaborating, then I think the stark reality is that nobody, like Bridget said at the beginning, nobody gets to their destiny by themselves. You need to collaborate. And by you collaborating, you also become that next step or link or chain, if you will, to somebody else's breakthrough. And so I believe that when we are purposeful in our collaborations, we can really do some good stuff, good work in this world. So first off, collaborations are always designed to achieve a specific goal or an outcome. It requires, collective energy, collective creativity, collective contribution, your expertise, it requires a lot more of you than I think sometimes we actually even stop to think or to consider. So I want us to really just take a look at some of the key factors that can actually contribute to successful and purposeful collaborations. Number one is you have to have clear objectives. You have to define what is the goal, what is it that we desire to gain out of this collaboration. And it's the same even in marriage, right? Why would you marry somebody? Because there is that desire, that goal is that I want to spend my life with you, I want to have a family with you, I want to build with you. There's endless reasons why people do get married. So same in a collaboration, whether it's business, professional, or life, there's always an end goal, there's always a reason, there's always a purpose, there's always a specific outcome that is desired to come out of that collaboration. And it also, by being able to talk about that, also helps to bring all the parties together on the same page. You want to make sure that you're on the same page, you're working towards the same objectives, your heart is in sync with one another, you all have the same desire of outcome that is required. Secondly, and this is by no means in any specific order, but for the purpose of just organizing my own thoughts and what I want to share with you, so I've kind of numbered them. The second thing you want to look at in terms of factors that contribute to a really successful and purposeful collaboration is diverse perspective. Why is this important? Because we're all different people. We're all wired differently. We're all created differently. We all think differently. There's the left brain people, there's the right brain people, and there's the no brain people, right? We're just right in the middle of that as well. And we all come from different backgrounds, different cultural experiences, different expertise, different ideas, different insights. And all of these, I think, when we bring them together in a collaborative environment, actually enriches the whole process, and therefore it increases the likelihood of that collaboration being successful. However, hopefully, you can maybe think back to a time where you're coming together in a collaboration, but perhaps an idea or something you shared is rejected because it's that's culturally so that cultural experience that enriches who you are is rejected. When that is rejected, you feel like okay, I don't have room here to be myself, right? I don't have room to be myself. It's like, okay, what could that potentially create? That potentially can create mistrust, just a thought. That can potentially create demotivation. It can, it can really take away your energy, it can dampen your creativity. It can really derail the whole, I would say, collaboration, where there is no room for you to bring the diverse and yet unique perspective, uniqueness, the unique blueprint of who you are, right? And so when you're collaborating, be aware of the fact that you're very diverse, and that is what makes you unique at the same time. Number 3 is open communication. When you're going to collaborate, there has to be open communication. Why? Because that is what encourages and builds trust. I think when you're honest in the communication, the collaboration, where you can speak with one another, share, okay, this is the outcome, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm thinking, transparently, and where everybody feels that there is room and space and safety for them to share their ideas without being condemned, criticized or attacked or whatever it is. or their concerns, or okay, hey, this is my insight, I promise you, it promotes that sense of trust and a sense of shared ownership in the collaboration as well. And I think it's very important as well to point out that really trust is like your richest currency. It's your richest asset that you can, take anywhere ever. Your biggest currency, richest currency and asset is trust. You being a person of trust, as well as your ability to trust others as well. I think if you don't trust people, that devalues, that currency of trust. And where you're also not trusted equally, then that currency of trust is hugely devalued. So be willing to hold space, a safe space that is for those that you're collaborating with, or anyone, if it's just a two party or whatever, is even at home, right? I believe that families living with one another, bringing our kids up, building our marriages or building friendships, all of those requires us to build trust, where you're not perceived as honest, whether it's your kids, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, where there is no honesty or perceived honesty or real trust. Guess what? It creates so much problem. So it's not even just in the business sense, but especially in the family sense, in our homes and relationships. This is always going to remain your richest, most valuable asset, and that is trust. Number 4, I think, is adaptability, where life happens, and sometimes maybe when you started to collaborate, let's say, you can even take marriage, for example. When you're married, you looked a certain way, whatever it is, and something happens. Let's say you got sick or whatever it is, and circumstances change, right? Can you hold space for the other person to pivot? Now we're looking at, this from a leadership perspective. So it can be your team that you require to help you in this, collaboration effort, or maybe it's the other party that you collaborate with, and they're going through some personal changes, or their circumstances have changed. Can you patiently hold space for them to pivot or not, where there is no room to be able to adapt, pivot, and I would say shift depending on your circumstances. What happens? You feel like, oh, they're controlling me, or I'm being controlled, and ain't no one got time to be controlled or to be controlling. So a collaboration where you're not able to be easily adaptive and quickly adapt, based on circumstances that sometimes may be out of your control, then that sense of being controlled can often, I would say, sow seeds of resentment, sow seeds of, just demoralization. It just derails the whole thing. So just be aware of that. Now I want us to look at, okay, what are some of the key factors? We've looked at the key factors, which is what I've just shared. Number 1, clear objectives, diverse perspectives, being open in communication, building trust, adaptability. Now, practically, how do you apply these? How do you actually put this to practice to be able to actually create a purposeful collaboration, right? Number 1 is develop the shared vision. It's a collaborative effort. Share it, establish, okay, what is the vision for this? What objectives should we include in this? What are the outcomes? Is there any potential challenges that may arise? And who are the people we need to help us? How are we going to stay focused? How are we going to be aligned? How are we going to anticipate everything that potentially can impact the goal, the vision, or the expected and desired outcome, right? Practically, how do you foster a culture of trust? Trust is the foundation for any successful collaboration, any successful relationship. So encouraging that open communication, be transparent, hold space, be a safe person, a safe space for whether it's your team, the members, those that you need to call on, lean on, those that you're collaborating with. They should not be room for fear, room for judgment, room for attribution, room for criticism. All of those things needs to be completely out of the window. And yes, sometimes as leaders you have to critique, you have to give feedback, but there is a better way of being able to do that. That's where you check in your communication. How do you effectively communicate, where you have to bring correction. And if you really want to understand how to do that effectively, go back through the Now Woman podcast and look for the podcast that I did with Mark Whitaker on leads, LEADS. It's just simply full of such rich teachings for you as a leader, and would really help you to foster that culture of trust. So there you have a full podcast that focuses specifically just on that. It's the Leads podcast with Mark Whitaker on the Now Woman podcast. Now coming back again, the practical application, establishing roles and responsibility. You have to clearly define each member's role. What are you going to do? Ensure that everybody is aware of what they're going to do, how they're contributing towards the collaboration. Why is this important? Because where it's not defined, okay, I'm going to be responsible for this, you're going to be responsible for this. Eventually, if you're both doing the same thing, let's say, you're both doing the same thing, before you know, the other person thinks, oh, you're not pulling your weight. No, and you think, what? I'm being used. Why? Because the roles, what you're going to do, what I'm going to do is not clearly defined. And therefore, because even though we're both doing the same thing, we're both pulling away, but because we're doing the same thing, nobody sees, it's hard to see the progress. And therefore you can, it provides room to think, well, I'm being used. This is not a very fair collaboration, even though that might not be the intention of the other person or the other party. So it's always very important to establish the roles, the responsibilities. Who is taking ownership for what? And number 4, evaluate and iterate. Always evaluate, regardless of how much progress is being made, how much adjustment is required. You always have to, yes, I'm repeating again, you have to evaluate, you have to regularly assess how are we progressing, how are we doing, do we need to adjust, do we need to adapt, do we need to pivot, do we need anticipate, evaluate, assess, and openly, transparently, honestly communicate, right, this new information. Why? Because it helps improve the collaboration efforts or the collaborative efforts. So I hope this has been quite helpful. I'm just coming to a close now, and I'm just going to give you like the 4 key takeaways that would hopefully enable you to create really purposeful collaborations. Number 1 is purposeful collaborations are intentional efforts that is designed to help you achieve specific goals, outcomes, and as you leverage the collective strength and expertise and the uniqueness and the diverse cultural experiences and all the pieces that makes us who we are, as you leverage, the who I am, the who you are, we then can be able to purposefully create something that serves the greater good, that really serves the world, brings greater impact, greater transformation, and guess what? A much bigger harvest than if I had done it by myself. Second key takeout is that for any collaboration to be successful, you need to be clear about your objectives. You need to understand that you're different, I'm different, but when we come together, those differences create such a rich, unique flavor that really actually, would give us more even than if I was on my own. also be willing to be open, transparent, honest in your communication. Give room for each of you, or each person within this collaboration to be able to adapt if that is required and necessary. Practical applications for fostering purposeful collaborations include: you need to have a shared vision. You need to foster that culture of trust. You need to establish the roles, the responsibilities. You need to evaluate and, iterate and communicate on the progress that we are making, and embrace the idea that, I think there is this saying that um you can only go so far, but when you go with others you can go so much more further. And so be encouraged, in your heart, in your mind, irrespective of your previous experiences or previous challenges. Yes, they may be valid, reasons for it, but I want to encourage you and really challenge you to recognize we're in the time and the dispensation where you can no longer go solo. The time to go solo, the time to fly solo is well and truly over and behind us. There are incredible people out there that you can collaborate with. You can drive innovation, you can boost productivity, you can achieve so much more, both in your own personal life, your professional life, and for the greater good of our world. And so I hope you've enjoyed it, and you will continue to explore this concept of being purposeful in our collaborations. And if you found any valuable insights, then by all means please let us know which one specifically, or which are you combining to apply in your own life. And come back next week, where we're going to delve even more into some really exciting and valuable conversations and topics as well. So I do hope that you're going to now be courageous and bold in collaborating with others, and look forward to hearing all about that, from you as you always connect with us. So do so or now at nationsofwomen.com, or any other method that you normally use to connect with us. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Allton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.